And you've just heard When My Shoulders Were Smaller by Holly Powers. And I'm so pleased to be joined by Holly now. Hello.
Hi.
So, first of all, what can you tell us about the song we've just heard?
So, When My Shoulders Were Smaller is written all about sort of looking back to being a wee kid and sort of feeling like I was carefree and curious, and how somewhere along the way I kind of lost touch with kind of those parts of myself. Yeah.
So, how do you find it reflecting on the past in song in that way? Is it therapeutic or what's the
Yeah,
feeling?
it was quite therapeutic actually, and just kind of nice to acknowledge it. And I guess because you hear a lot of chat about like reconnecting with your inner child, and yeah, I don't know. It was nice to look back. Most of my songs are written about like things that have happened quite recently. It's
Hmm.
kind of not super often that I'll write a song about something, long time ago. Yeah.
Um, it's quite interesting though, because am I right in saying you make music with your dad?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you're reflecting on your childhood, for instance, does he have a different point of view? Is that ever put in?
Actually, yeah. When I sort of first showed him the song, he was kind of like my sort of memory of you as a kid was like a little bit serious because in the song I also talk about how I was also quite a serious kid as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but he was like, my memories of you is like being just totally like a bit silly and happy and not as serious as maybe I remember myself as being.
Yeah.
Yeah, so his view was different.
I think that's really interesting, because I think the viewpoint of a parent or just someone who isn't
Mm,
yourself can be quite different from your own kind of reflections on it. And I think writing
totally.
about your past, certainly your young past, can be very powerful. My brother's an artist, and a lot of his work is about childhood or
Mm,
younger memories. It's often visual, old
yeah.
postcards or old things that. So how did you tap into those memories? Are they always there with you, or were you looking at things to remind you?
I can't really remember how it came about. I think I've always sort of felt quite connected with my younger self, and I've got lots of diaries uh, that I wrote even when I was little, and sort of recently just moved house. So like I kind of come across these things, and it makes me think back and sort of transports me back to what my mindset was like when I was wee.
When did you start writing songs? Was that in childhood as well?
Yeah, I remember sort of writing songs when I was really, really wee, like very simple songs. And then I more seriously started when I think I was maybe 12 or 13.
Right.
Yeah, so a wee bit older.
So do you have the lyrics from those songs to kind of
I
reflect
do.
upon? Because they must be a bit like diaries. They must be quite revealing.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, they're pretty cringy when I read back on it. It's a bit like, oh God, did I really write that? But you got to start somewhere, I guess.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's not only is that very honest of you, but also it kind of reflects this idea of a serious younger person too.
Yeah, yeah, true. Yeah,
And it's from the EP Sweet Pea. And what can you tell us about the EP? It's your second EP, isn't it?
yeah. A second EP. The title Sweet Pea comes from a nickname that my mum has always given me since I was little. Um, and when I was sort of writing these songs and sort of thinking about this as a collection of work, that title sort of really popped out to me. I don't know why, but it just felt like it sort of summed up all the tracks. So 6 tracks, which is yeah.
We're going to hear another one later on called Girl,
Mm.
which also suggests a kind of youthful look as well. Is that a theme which
Sure.
runs through the EP?
Is it? I'm not sure. I think it was only really the when my shoulders were smaller was all about like childhood. A lot of it touches upon like mental health, I guess, or like the inner state inside your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess reflecting on that is something else, which is that helpful to do through song? Do you
Definitely,
find
yeah.
that to understand yourself better?
Yeah, definitely. It really helps me sort of pick apart situations I've been through, or also kind of like there's something quite nice about feeling like maybe through singing these songs, other people will connect to that as well, bring a sense of connection through that experience.
It's something which comes up a lot talking to not just musicians but other artists
Mm.
too. That the specific evokes the most empathy.
Mm,
To really dig deep into your own, other people can strangely identify with that more.
yeah, yeah, totally. I've had a lot of people say that my song Girl, they can really relate to that, which has been really nice.
And as I say, this is your second EP. The first one was back in 2024,
Yeah.
Let It Run Wild. And I was wondering, was there a different approach this time to songwriting, or was it just a kind of continuation of what you do?
It was kind of a continuation. I think I knew I wanted to, like, when it came to recording it, I really wanted to try and do it more live.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, compared to the last one, which was a bit more like bitty, recording me bits at a time. Whereas this one, I really wanted to try and capture like the live feeling. Yeah.
And is that something that you love doing, playing live?
Yeah, I do, especially with my dad.
Right.
Yeah, it's been really nice to play with him and not just be up there on my own.
And yeah, I'd never thought about that, but I do know from talking to people who have originally been in bands and then
Mm,
become solo, they feel really quite, even
mm,
bands that have been quite successful, but they feel really alone up there and
yeah,
quite vulnerable as well, just them
totally.
and a guitar and a mic, for instance.
Yeah, yeah, very vulnerable.
So
Yeah.
it's quite good to be mob-handed, and who better than your dad, I guess, to
Yeah.
get there. But actually, it
Mm,
made me think because your music is quite gentle and
mm.
it's acoustic, obviously. And can that be problematic playing live? We know that some audiences behave better than others.
Yeah, thankfully, like a lot of my experience has been really positive, but there have been some times where people are talking really loudly or laughing, and yeah, I don't know. I'm not the sort of person that would like challenge that, you know? I guess
Yeah.
that's something you maybe learn to do, but yeah, thankfully, a lot of the spaces I've played in, everyone's been pretty good at listening.
Yeah, I have to say it's something as an audience member that really, I was going to say
Mm.
something terrible there, grinds my gears,
Yeah.
because anyway, that's why. But it reminded me actually when I was listening to your music, I'm a big
Mm.
fan of musician Joe Mango, who's got new music coming out. Very quiet,
Mm.
very intimate. I remember going to see her once at King Tut's, and if you know
Mm.
King Tut's, it's got a main area, but it's got a little sidebar as well. And so
Yes.
everyone in the main audience was absolutely quiet listening to Joe sing. And then there were a couple of guys who clearly had just come in for a drink and were up at the
Oh,
bar. It was like, oh shit. I mean, I'm surprised
yeah.
they escaped with their lives. But I guess they just went, let's go somewhere where there's a bit of live music. But I can imagine, especially with the kind of music you have, that could be problematic. But it's good to hear that
Mm.
on the whole, people are listening.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I have found a lot of people. I mean, I don't really go along to like proper open mics at pubs or, these kinds of situations
Yeah.
where definitely people are just kind of there for a drink and a chat with like a wee bit of music in the back.
Because I also think these are songs that kind of require close listening.
Mm,
There's quite a lot going on in them.
yeah.
It's something I think you shared with, we were speaking before we started recording, that you're going to be at Orla Noble's album launch.
Mm,
By the time
yeah.
this goes out, it will have been, and I'm sure it was a massive success. But I
Yeah.
think it's similar with Orla. You both make music and write songs that really, you want to listen closely to.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And in terms of a of playing live, so is it just you and your dad?
Yeah, pretty much. Up until now, it's just been me and my dad. Um, but for my EP launch, we're going to be playing with a drummer and a cellist and a backing singer.
And I haven't, as we speak again, I haven't heard the whole EP. So on the EP, is it just the
Mm.
two of you, or are there other people on as well?
No, I think every other song, yeah, every song has got either cello, drums, both. backing singing. Yeah.
And are these people that you know, musicians that you've known from elsewhere, or are just, on for this job?
Well, I've kind of known of Neil, the drummer. He's a drummer for Jacob Alon.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I've been aware of him and sort of we crossed paths at a gig. And he said he'd be up for doing drums, which I was like so chuffed with. And then I sort of knew I really wanted cello on the EP. So I sort of asked around some of the people I know in the music scene, and Graham Cole was like top of the list, sort of as recommendations. So yeah, I'd heard of him. So yeah, it's been really exciting to like connect in with them both, and get them involved. Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah,
And is that something you maybe could see doing in the future, as kind of almost having a full band as
yeah.
well?
I think I was always quite scared of the concept of having a full band, especially a drummer. I kind of was always very like, oh, I just don't know if that would work.
Did you think that might overpower your songs, or perhaps, or?
Yeah, I kind of just didn't really know how it would work. Maybe it was just the drummers I knew at the time, they were playing a bit more bolder stuff. So I
Mhm.
just didn't quite know how paring down drums would be. But Neil's been great. Like he's so sensitive and he loves playing that kind of acoustic, folky drum sound.
And going back to Let It Run Wild, I'm interested what you learned from your debut, because it was really well received. I
Mm.
mean, critically, and a lot of people played it and really loved it, including myself.
Yeah,
Um, what did you learn from that? Did you decide that there were things that you might do differently this time round?
I definitely did learn from it. I think I was very conscious of like I wanted to be as open as I could be to sort of trying any sort of anything when it came to recording it. And I think looking back, I maybe would have like pared it back a wee bit.
Right.
Yeah. But like I was glad that I was quite open because a lot of my music before I was very set on how I wanted it to sound. And I didn't want that to sort of hold me back.
That's really interesting, because I think often you might think the
Mm.
first EP is the kind of quietist, for want of a better term, and then you want to get bigger. About, you often see
Mm.
that with bands, I guess, in particular. But with
Yeah.
you, it's obviously the opposite. You want to bring it down,
Yeah.
and is that to make the songs bring the songs to the fore more?
I think so. And like when I sort of listen to albums that I really love, like often like simple, I feel like is better.
Yeah,
It doesn't need to be super complicated and loads of elements added.
yeah, that's interesting, and it brings me to the question, which I'm sure a lot of people have asked you. But who are your influences? Who's kind of influencing your music?
Ooh, I think like the main ones are probably Laura Marling,
Hmm.
Nick Drake,
Yeah,
Jose Gonzalez is a big one, and probably Bon Iver, like his first album.
yeah.
Um, those are sort of my four big influences.
Yeah, Bon Iver's first album is fantastic. But I also think it's interesting. I think Nick Drake is definitely influencing. I mean, guess maybe
Mm,
he always has, but at the moment there seems to be a lot of people that are under
yeah,
the influence of Nick Drake.
yeah, I've seen a real like resurgence.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
those
interesting.
records are absolutely timeless, I feel.
Oh, they are. Like they sound like they could have been written now.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Mm,
I think there's something about how would you describe your music? I mean, I would say
mm,
there's definitely a bit of folk going on there. I mean, you could say traditional, but I wouldn't say like strictly traditional. How do you even
yeah.
worry about how it's described?
I mean, it's tricky because you kind of have to
Yeah,
fit it into a box, but
yeah,
I've always kind of found that a bit tricky because I don't think my stuff sounds like traditional folk
yeah,
or like Scottish trad. I don't
no,
think it really fits into that
yeah,
that vein. I guess kind of maybe similar to Billy Martin, maybe where it's kind of like that indie folk or
yeah.
alternative folk, maybe.
And I think you mentioned Laura Marling, and that's a really
Yeah.
interesting, particularly early Laura Marling. I think it's a really interesting comparison. But you're
Mm.
absolutely right. This idea of having to fit into boxes.
Yeah.
so that people can then put you in a certain bit. It must be quite frustrating. I know, having spoken to writers,
Mm.
a lot of writers that say, "Well, are you crime?" And they say, "Well, I just write books, and that's all I
Uh,
want to do."
yeah.
Some people embrace it, but it must be quite difficult because then I don't know. You think, well, what I do next, does it have to fit into that box, or can I, do something completely different?
I was thinking that recently. I was thinking, what if I just went totally like left field and just like that would be kind of weird. I don't know, but it is a weird concept trying to sort of squish it into a box. It is a weird one. It
And
is.
so, when did you decide move from, I guess, being a listener of music that you're
Mm.
going to make music? I mean, there must have been because I'm a huge listener of music, but I've never actually thought I'm going to make
Yeah,
some of my own. I've never had that kind of epiphany, if you like.
yeah,
But
yeah,
so,
yeah.
so when did you move from one to the other?
I think like a sort of pivotal moment was at the beginning of high school. I went to Pennycook High School and they have a sort of record label called Burnt Out Records.
All right, wow.
Yeah, so they sort of would take on students, like the pupils, and they would get people in like Admiral Fallow played there, um, and Nina Nesbitt played there.
Wow.
And I went to see her, I think I was 12, so I was like almost at high school. And I remember seeing her play on stage and just thinking, oh, I want to do that. I would love to do that.
Yeah. What a brilliant thing, though, to have people like
I
that
know.
come around and kind of do a show and show you that it can be done. Because that's
Yeah.
often the thing. Um, Again, go back to you playing with your dad. Is your dad a musician that has played for a while?
Yeah, he's been in bands in Edinburgh since I think he was about 17. He started playing bass.
So for you, was that always seen as a thing that you could do because you've got someone does it already?
Yeah, that's definitely true. Like he was always recording his own songs like at home, and I always used to love sort of sneaking in and trying to get a little part in when he was recording. So yeah, I guess that's true. It sort of made it more accessible, made me feel like I could do it. Yeah.
There's a real difference I find between talking to people like yourself who've got parents or other people in the family who already make music, and
Mm.
therefore it's not seen as this big thing, and other people who have none of that, and it's actually seen like, you're going to do what,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
get a proper job. I'm doing that in
yeah,
inverted commas, you know what I mean? I'm making a,
yeah.
but there's definitely a kind of division there.
Mhm. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and it is interesting. And I think for someone like yourself, you probably don't even realize that that's something that would be
I
not
know.
taboo, but a challenge, seen by a challenge to other people. I guess
Yeah.
it's the same in every aspect of life. And we're
Mm.
going to hear "Girl" in a moment, and we've mentioned that, but what's that about?
Girl was sort of written about this period of time where I was really struggling with feeling very jealous and compare myself to somebody in specific. Um, and this kind of happened maybe a year before I actually wrote it.
Right.
Yeah, because I felt like I had to sort of move through it, like come through that period of time, and then I could sort of look back on it and reflect on how I sort of got myself out of that like tricky period of time.
Again, that goes back to the idea which you mentioned earlier on about writing songs and perhaps making music to better understand yourself. A kind of
Mm,
art therapy, I suppose, for want of a better
yeah,
term.
yeah, definitely. And it's been huge. Yeah.
And again, something that's obviously very, very close to you, but do you ever feel concerned about sharing such kind of personal ideas with other people?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, sometimes I think with Girl in particular, because it involved my partner, there was sort of a funny, like, when I showed him it, I kind of thought, oh, what's he going to think of that? And how's that going to be to share that? But there's also been something quite like healing
Yeah.
about like just serving it out and then getting lots of people, telling me that they've also felt exactly the same.
Yeah. And I think that seems to be something, if you can take that step, the kind of feedback that
Mm,
you get from people can also be part of the process.
yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So now that the EP is out, it will be out by the time this goes out. Uh,
Oh,
have you any future plans? Are you doing stuff into the summer? Are you playing in the summer or anything like that?
I'm not really playing in the summer. I've
No.
sort of, yeah, I've applied to lots of festivals, but it's been difficult to get sort of the foot in the door, you
That's
know?
interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm open to gig offers. Um, yeah, but it's tricky. It's really tricky.
Well, I can imagine it is because one of the things that I speak about quite a lot is the amount of music that's being,
Mm,
fantastic music, really
mm,
high quality music that's being made and released
mm,
all the time. And I guess I hadn't made the connection, but I guess there's only a certain amount of festivals, for instance, that are on with there's only a certain
totally.
amount of slots that'll be there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a funny feeling. Yeah, it is a tricky one to sort of break through that and get those opportunities when, yeah, like you say, there's so many people doing such beautiful things.
Yeah, absolutely. But hopefully now that the EP is out, you'll have this fantastic calling card that you can say, well, have a listen to this.
That's
And
true.
we mentioned uh, Orla Noble, and she's got a new album out as well. I was wondering if there are other artists making music at the moment that you particularly enjoy listening to.
That's a good question. I really admire the songwriting of Hector Shaw.
Yeah,
I really love his music. I'm not sure if he's making anything at the moment, but I'm sure he will.
yeah,
I really admire his songwriting. Gosh, there's so many people. There's so many lovely people in the Edinburgh scene. I feel like at the minute.
yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. What is the Edinburgh scene like? It's thriving. It seems to me. There's no
Yeah,
doubt about it. There are amazing stuff going on all the time and amazing people. Is that your experience of it?
definitely. Like it's felt like such a warm, supportive scene. Like nobody's that like judgmental or like what's the word, petty, or there's no sort of competitive vibes. Everyone's just super lovely, and there seems to be lots of lovely like community events going on where there's poetry and there's music and there's all sorts, which
Yeah.
is just so lovely. Yeah,
And that's maybe the flip side of so many people making and releasing great music is that you've got a bigger community of people to kind of support each other and say, well,
exactly.
we're all in this together.
Yeah, totally. There is a real feeling of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all in this together.
Holly, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, it's been lovely. Thanks for having me.
And this is Holly Powers and Girl.